Being an expert in any field, whether it's archaeology, paleontology, or science, probably isn't as exciting as people like to think. You spend years learning everything there is to know about your subject, only to have someone eventually point at one particular thing and ask you to explain it. Well, most of the time there's an answer. But sometimes there isn't. So, stay tuned, because in this video we'll be looking at most baffling ancient finds that shouldn't exist, but somehow do finds that even the experts still can't explain, and maybe never will. So, let's begin with number 15, the mysterious Salzburg Cube during World War II. Everything surrounding this strange object seemed to disappear, and that missing trail only made its story harder to untangle. The object itself had already caused enough trouble. Back in 1885, a worker at an Austrian foundry broke open coal from the Wolfsegg mine and noticed an iron piece unlike anything expected inside it. Roughly 7 centimeters across, with flattened sides and a deep groove circling its middle, it looked suspiciously man-made. Soon, people were calling it the Salzburg Cube or Wolfsegg iron. Since the lignite associated with the find was millions of years old, a much wilder possibility took hold. Had somebody been working metal long before humans were supposed to exist? Predictably, aliens also entered the conversation. Later examination brought the story closer to Earth, with specialists arguing that it resembled cast iron weights used in 19th century machinery. That explanation sounds reasonable. The most frustrating part is that the original artifact can no longer be examined. Number 14. The Lion of Kea. We know the lion has been lying on the Greek island of Kea for centuries. Beyond that, the story becomes frustratingly thin. Cut straight from the limestone, this enormous animal stretches roughly 30 feet and is generally placed somewhere around the 6th century BC. Its relaxed pose almost makes it look sleepy, which feels strangely gentle for something so enormous. Local legends have tried to fill the gaps left by history. One story speaks of lions once driving away the island's water nymphs, while another tradition connects the carving with protection. Archaeologists, however, have never found a neat explanation waiting nearby. There is no grand temple beside it, no inscription naming its sculptor, and no surviving account telling us why so much effort went into carving a lion directly from the hillside. Even its age comes largely from artistic comparisons rather than written evidence. Someone clearly wanted this animal here badly enough to carve it on a monumental scale. Whoever that was took the reason with them. Number 13. The ancient giants of Nevada. Are giants real? Well, if not, then why do so many ancient civilizations, scriptures, and tribal stories speak about them? Nevada has one tale that refuses to die. The Paiute spoke of the Siteka, a fierce people remembered as large, red-haired, and feared by neighboring tribes. Their story ends brutally. The remaining Siteka were supposedly driven into Lovelock Cave, where their enemies blocked the entrance and filled it with fire and smoke. Centuries later, that same place produced something rather unsettling. Miners working there in 1911 uncovered an enormous collection of old belongings beneath layers of guano. Archaeological work followed, bringing out woven duck decoys, baskets, tools, sandals, and human remains. Then came claims of remarkably tall mummies and reddish hair. Those reports remain heavily disputed, yet they gave the Paiute legend an eerie second life. And Lovelock wasn't alone. 19th century newspapers occasionally reported oversized skeletons from American burial mounds, leaving one stubborn question behind: where did all those stories truly come from? Number 12. Stone head of Salaspil's well. Just look at it. Someone went through the trouble of carving an enormous human face into this boulder, but somehow forgot to tell us who they were. The Salaspil's stone head has a very messy past. According to one account, a farmer found it while plowing during the 19th century and passed it to a stonemason, who realized this was probably more than an oddly shaped rock. Later, it apparently spent years in a churchyard before eventually reaching Latvia's History Museum. That journey alone makes tracing its beginning painfully difficult. Tool marks suggest iron instruments shaped the eyes, nose, and mouth, although nobody can confidently say when the work was done. One possibility takes us back to pre-Christian Baltic beliefs, when carved stones may have represented gods or sacred figures. Similar faces elsewhere in Northern Europe make that idea tempting, but hardly conclusive. So we have the face, the craftsmanship, and plenty of theories, just no name, date, or reason explaining why someone really made it. Number 11. The Illinois coal bell. This bell shouldn't exist. We mean it's around 300 million years old. According to science and history, humans weren't around to make anything remotely like it. But in 1944, 10-year-old Newton Anderson said he was carrying coal into his family's basement when a chunk fell, split apart, and released a small metal bell. Not a rough piece of stone that vaguely resembled one. Either, it had decorative figures, a proper clapper, and the appearance of something made by human hands. The coal was reportedly traced to Illinois' Willow Mine and a Carboniferous seam hundreds of millions of years old. That single detail turned an odd childhood discovery into a headache. If the bell truly came from inside untouched coal, how did it get there? Skeptics have offered far less dramatic possibilities, including contamination somewhere between mining and the Anderson home. Fair enough. But without firm proof showing when the object entered the coal, the little bell continues ringing one very inconvenient question. What are we looking at? Number 10. The Baffling Pyramid. Australia having its own mysterious pyramid sounds wonderful until you hear the story behind this one. Near Baffling in Queensland sits an enormous granite pyramid rising roughly 15 meters above the surrounding countryside. From a distance, you could easily mistake it for something with a far older past. Naturally, stories followed. Ancient builders, forgotten settlers, strange ceremonies. People have attached plenty of possibilities to it. The explanation is much more wonderfully Australian. Local landowner Ken Stubberfield reportedly built the structure during the 1990s using granite rocks cleared from nearby farmland. Instead of hauling thousands of tons of unwanted stone away, he piled it into a pyramid. No pharaoh, no lost civilization, no secret chamber required. Still, calling it a pile of spare rocks hardly does the thing justice. The amount of labor involved was enormous, and the finished structure dominates the landscape like it has been there for centuries. So yes, we know who built Baffling's pyramid and why. The stranger question might be why anyone looked at that much granite and thought, pyramid. Number 9. The ancient Tricket Island settlement. The Heiltsuk people had been telling the story for hundreds of years. During the Ice Age, their ancestors survived on coastal land that escaped the worst of the surrounding ice. For a long time, archaeologists and other outsiders treated that account as oral tradition rather than something archaeology could verify. Then work on Tricket Island off British Columbia's central coast produced an impossibly old campsite. Beneath layers of earth and peat were traces of human activity dating back roughly 14,000 years. A hearth still contained charcoal suitable for radiocarbon dating, while tools and other materials showed people had occupied the area near the end of the last ice age. Suddenly, the Heiltsuk story sounded less legendary. The discovery also joined growing evidence that early people may have traveled south along the Pacific coastline rather than relying solely on an inland route through an ice-free corridor. That doesn't mean every detail of an ancient story can be proven, but its entire story is still incomplete. Number 8. The levitating stone of Shivapur Dargah. You may have seen the video of a haunted well in a village in Gujarat that appears to move on its own. Well, India has plenty of stories that leave people wondering what they just witnessed, and Shivapur has another. At the Kamar Ali Darvesh Dargah near Pune rests a stone weighing roughly 150 pounds. 11 men gather around it, each placing a single finger underneath while calling out the saint's name together. Then comes the part that has kept this ritual famous for generations. The heavy rock rises. People watching from only a few feet away can see everyone apparently supporting it with nothing more than their fingertips. There is, of course, a practical explanation. Skeptics argue that 11 people lifting at precisely the same moment can distribute the weight surprisingly well, while chanting keeps everyone synchronized. Perhaps that settles it. But watching 150 pounds shoot upward on 22 fingertips still looks insane. Number 7. Rainy Man. Nobody knows his name, but whoever Rainy Man represents was given one intimidating entrance into history. The Picts carved him carrying a large axe with a sharp nose, prominent teeth, and what appears to be some form of headdress. At nearly 2 meters tall, the stone figure is difficult to dismiss as casual decoration. It was found near Rhynie in Aberdeenshire, an area that later archaeological work revealed to have been an important Pictish power center around the 5th and 6th centuries. High-status buildings, valuable objects, and evidence of long-distance connections suggest powerful people once gathered there. That makes the axe-bearing figure especially interesting. He may portray a warrior, ruler, sacred figure, or somebody connected with ceremonies performed at the site. Similar axes appear in contexts sometimes associated with sacrifice, although that doesn't tell us what this particular man was doing. Number 6. The Gantenbrink door of the Great Pyramid. A German engineer named Rudolf Gantenbrink was exploring the Great Pyramid in 1993 when his robot reached a place nobody had seen for thousands of years. Opiot 2 had been crawling along the southern shaft leading from the Queen's chamber, squeezing through a route far too narrow for any person. After traveling 65 meters, its camera faced limestone instead of another stretch of passage. 2 small copper fittings sat on its surface, making the obstruction resemble a miniature doorway. Gantenbrink wanted to find out what lay behind it, but his work at Giza ended before that could happen. 9 years passed before another robotic mission pierced the slab and pushed a camera through. Anyone expecting treasure, a forgotten room, or some dramatic revelation got something much stranger. Another blocking stone only a short distance beyond the first. Later robots returned to examine the area, yet the purpose of these barriers remains debated. Whatever the builders intended, they made reaching the answer super hard. Number 5. Shimao City. Shimao was once treated like an odd collection of old walls in northern China. After years of excavation, that explanation became impossible to maintain. The site turned out to be a huge fortified city dating back roughly 4,000 years, long before the region was supposed to support anything on this scale. Stone defenses surrounded palaces, shops, homes, tombs, gateways, and enormous ritual areas. Jade pieces were even built into parts of the walls, while murals and carved stone faces added an almost ceremonial feeling to the place. The most striking feature was a massive stepped platform at the center, sometimes described as a pyramid-like structure, rising above the settlement as though whoever ruled Shimao wanted their authority seen from far away. For years, parts of the ruins were assumed to be much younger because the construction looked too advanced for their true age. Dating proved otherwise. Shimao had been powerful, organized, and wealthy at a time when this corner of China was thought to be far less developed. Number 4. The extraterrestrial mummy. There are so many supposed alien mummies that we could probably fill an entire video with them. There's Ata, the tiny skeleton from Chile once promoted as extraterrestrial, and then there are Peru's controversial three-fingered Nazca bodies. Among them, Maria became especially famous. Her unusual proportions, elongated head, and three-digit hands were enough to send alien believers into overdrive. Videos spread everywhere, scans were discussed, and claims soon followed that we might finally be looking at something non-human. Archaeologists were considerably less impressed. Critics argued that genuine ancient remains may have been altered, rearranged, or combined to produce bodies that looked unlike ordinary people. Peruvian authorities have also strongly challenged claims surrounding alleged non-human specimens associated with the Nazca mummy controversy. Yet the extraterrestrial story keeps returning, partly because Peru already has enough genuine wonders to feed anyone's curiosity. The Nazca lines, unusual burials, and elongated skulls among them. Whether Maria represents something alienish or a manipulation, one thing is certain: people still cannot stop arguing about her. Number 3. The rock drawings of Valcamonica. People came and went through Valcamonica for thousands of years, yet many of them left something behind on the rocks. Across this Italian alpine valley are hundreds of thousands of carvings showing hunters, animals, warriors, houses, weapons, carts, rituals, and symbols that nobody can fully read anymore. The earliest examples reach back roughly 10,000 years, while many later images are associated with the Comuni, who lived here before Roman rule. One design appears again and again: the Communion Rose. It looks almost like a looping geometric puzzle, and whatever it once represented has been forgotten. Today, strangely enough, it has become the official symbol of Lombardy. The carvings remained largely outside scholarly attention until Walter Lang reported examples in 1909. By 1979, Valcamonica had become Italy's first UNESCO World Heritage Site. Thousands of people seem to have spoken through these rocks across many generations. We can still see what they drew, but not their meaning. Number 2. The ancient screw fossil mystery. A screw inside 300-million-year-old rock would cause a rather serious problem for history, considering there wasn't supposed to be anyone around to own a screwdriver. That is why this peculiar Russian find attracted so much attention. The object appears remarkably mechanical, with a neat spiral running through the surrounding stone. To people convinced that civilization stretches much farther into the past than textbooks allow, it looked almost too perfect. Paleontologists had a considerably less exciting answer: crinoids. These sea creatures lived hundreds of millions of years ago, and their fossilized stems can leave repeating shapes that resemble threads on modern hardware. Normally, that explanation might finish the conversation. Instead, claims emerged that X-ray images revealed another screw-shaped form farther inside the rock. Access to the specimen has also been limited, making proper independent testing difficult and allowing increasingly wild possibilities to flourish, from forgotten civilizations to aliens, with time travelers thrown in for good measure. Is it prehistoric machinery? Who knows? Number 1. The Athens curse tablets. Holding a grudge in ancient Athens could become surprisingly serious. Around 2,500 years ago, if somebody had ruined your business, stolen your lover, beaten you in court, or simply made an enemy of you, there was another option besides confronting them: write their name on lead and ask the gods below to deal with it. More than 30 such curse tablets were recovered from an old well in Athens' Kerameikos Cemetery, with the discovery reported in 2020. Scratched across their surfaces were appeals calling upon underworld powers to punish particular people. Some victims were actually named, which makes these pieces feel disturbingly personal even after so many centuries. Throwing them into a well wasn't accidental either. Water sources and graves were regarded as routes through which messages might reach supernatural forces beneath the earth. Whoever dropped these tablets down there genuinely wanted somebody to suffer. We'll maybe never hear the arguments that started those grudges. but their anger survived. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe. Take care, and we'll see you soon.